I am self-healer. I am the breather. I am the seer. I am the knower. I am the feeler. It's not easy to find a way to share my story in a linear fashion. I'm sure I will continue to persevere at it, but it's not an easy task when the depth of some divers in life is a lot deeper, and that depth has given me a resource of experience that can't always be explained through just me telling a story. That in the moments when I'm wanting to connect with this idea of what self-healing is, I have to look at what the opposite is, what it feels like to be silenced, or what it feels like to be alone or isolated, what it feels like to be misunderstood, what it feels like to be wrong, to be a being who creates change. Can be a difficult way to be, because people don't always want change. And when you go through a process in which causes changes in people's lives, even if they are necessary changes, you're not always going to be welcomed and appreciated for highlighting things that at certain stages in people's lives they're not willing to face. Self-healing to me is being truthful and showing the truth, because for self-healing to exist, one has to acknowledge where things were not in accordance with one's balance or one's sense of self. And I'm living proof of that experience. Some of my challenges through this journey have stemmed from childhood experiences that made me feel misunderstood, or like I was in a fishbowl swimming and no one around me could speak the same language, and that was a painful experience. And that was furthered, and that brought a further level of confusion in my upbringing, with already what I would say dysfunctional aspects. And it's important for me to acknowledge these things, and I've had to. I don't have the luxury, and I haven't had the luxury to pretend that these things aren't what I experienced, because they are, and I've known that. And throughout my teenage years, I struggled with the dysfunction of the way in which I was at times treated or misunderstood or ignored. And then blamed for having a reaction to feeling unloved and feeling unsupported and feeling misunderstood and being treated badly. As a child and as a teenager, when adults have settled into their firm foundation of who they perceive themselves to be, it often creates such a rigid truth in which they believe they are, but it doesn't leave any room for people to have other experiences around them. And if they highlight other aspects that these beings or these adults aren't willing to face, as a child, you can be treated badly for pointing out where dishonesty or where a lack of continuity in terms of somebody's word or somebody's way of being is. And that's not an easy way to, it's not an easy weight to carry for a child or for a teenager in society. And this inner child aspect of ourselves needs to be nurtured. This inner child needs communication. This inner child needs reassurance. This inner child needs understanding. And at times, the pains of an adult suffering will create a type of punishment that is put upon a child or put upon teenagers. And it's something that I feel needs to change. It's something that I feel like the idea of emotional responsibility is very important from my perspective. And from what I went through and how difficult my upbringing was and how difficult my teenage years were, have a lot to do with why I am here talking about self-healing. Children are such pure beings and like sponges, and they just pick up on everything around them, and they don't have the experience to discern what is being brought through for them. I manifested an illness process to such a degree that it couldn't be hidden anymore, because I did my best to hide it to survive, and I did my best to hide it from beings that did not understand or did not have the capability to have empathy or have compassion or be genuinely communicative or be genuinely present in an honest conversation. So through those choices at an early age of keeping so much within myself and not having a safe place to communicate with adults in a lot of my experiences meant that I suffered in a kind of separate reality that was not visible to anyone, and no one was trying to see it either. It could have been in front of them, but it wasn't necessarily in their highest priorities because it didn't fit to their perceived identity. Even in that experience, people project so heavily onto people who are unwell or people who are children or teenagers needing attention or whatever it is that they have a perception about. From their perspective, it's easy to make and cast judgments. I really feel that love is the answer, and communication and honesty and humility are the ways through these difficult circumstances and these emotionally charged experiences for adults, dictating a reality. I recognize that on a soul level, I chose my experiences. So I do not feel like I have lost out through this lifetime, even with regards to how difficult things have been. I recognize that what I'm experiencing and what I have experienced is a reflection of the whole, and that many beings have had similar difficulties and had yet unique expressions of that are very different to what I manifested or experienced as my journey. Though I do really feel that I have a choice, I can share this, and I can open the doorway to emotional responsibility and deeper connection to self through my journey, and offer that as a doorway for other beings who might be in the earlier processes of their lives and figuring things out. It's not easy, and self-healing is a constant and continual choice, no matter how many people project onto you that you won't make it or that there are all these limitations. It's the belief in self. It's the commitment to self regardless of what programs have been placed upon you, that as a self-healer, you are the rising phoenix of your old projections of the aspects of self that were expected from other people that are not really truly you. You are the rising phoenix through those things, and you rise beyond those things. And that is what I feel and want to share and convey in this message, that I am self-healer, and through being a self-healer, I ask you to step into the true being that you are, the miracle that you are in the here and now, which is a self-healer. And I am grateful for you hearing me speak today. Self-healing to me is a place, a journey, a vehicle. We are self-healers. We are the living presence of life, and self-healing can be a choice. It can be a pathway in which we walk, and it's up to you to make that decision, whether that's what you'll do or be. Though I remind myself that every time I heal within my own being, I am contributing to the greater picture of the collective, and I'm supporting those around me by committing to that, by recognizing that that's a responsibility of being on earth, is to the service of my larger worldly family, which is filled with so much diverse, absurd, and yet beautiful things. And I remind myself every day that I am self-healer. I am the breather. I am the weaver. And I am the dreamer.